All right, let's take a closer look at our focus for today, the high cost of living in South Africa and where it's going. The cost of basic living expenses such as food on the rise. So why exactly? Joining me now from Pretoria is Christo van Der Rheede. He's Executive Director at AgriSA. Mr. van Der Rheede, thank you so much for your time. So is it a number of factors contributing to the increase in the cost of food? We've looked at it year on year and it's gone up quite a lot, and we're being told it's going to go up even more. Do we blame the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which of course is in part to blame for the fuel price, or are there other factors?
There's global factors as well as local factors. The local factors refer to a rise in input cost. We've seen a rise in electricity cost, labor cost, as well as production input cost. Fertilizer cost has just gone through the roof. I've spoken to a couple of farmers this afternoon, and farmers are very, very worried because they have planned to increase their yields or the amount of hectares to be planted, but they're reconsidering that due to the fact that it has really become unaffordable to buy these input costs at these inflated prices. Then there's obviously global factors. Yes, the war in Ukraine has led to a shortage of grain, especially wheat in the markets. We import approximately 23%, but our farmers currently are planting wheat to make up for that shortfall. So yes, we're still in a very fortunate position. We've also seen, due to the work that our farmers are doing and the resilience in South Africa, our inflation rate sits at approximately 6%. If you compare that with Zambia, where inflation rate 16%, the EU 12%, United States 18% or 8%, then we're still in a very fortunate position. So the big issue is not that we don't have enough supplies. We do have enough supplies. The bigger issue is the affordability of it and the challenge that our consumers face in terms of their own buying power.
So how much do we have control over? I mean, you mentioned the local input costs, and electricity we know is increasing. In July it's going to jump up again for those who get their electricity via the municipality. Fertilizer, my understanding, that is often imported from Russia and Ukraine. Is that something we can control?
We have enough resources in South Africa to replace some of the imports. We have Phalaborwa mine that produce phosphate. We have Sasol that produce nitrogen. We have Eskom that can, produce sulfur dioxide from the gases that they release into the air. And then we have also big municipal plants which can produce urea. We don't have to import these things from overseas. Yes, to a certain extent we need to, because we are not competitive enough. But I think South Africa can do much more to alleviate the plight that consumers and especially farmers are facing at this point in time.
All right, so you mentioned that some farmers have been looking at scaling up, which is a great thing to do, capitalise on the situation and provide for people who are desperate at home. I would imagine, though, that goes hand in hand with government support. You, I think, are on record as saying that the agriculture budget is looking good. Talk to me about the role that government can play in supporting farmers in trying to feed South Africa.
I think what government should do, first and foremost, is to bring down the cost of petroleum. Remember, we have succeeded in, or government has brought down the levies, petrol levies, by 150 cents. I think they can bring it down further. We can make petroleum or diesel or petrol cheaper in South Africa. We can also make the cost of electricity cheaper, because those are big drivers of cost. And we can find ways and means to support farmers with inputs such as fertilizer, chemicals, and so forth. Our poorer farmers, especially our emerging farmers, are struggling quite a lot, and they play also a vital role in supporting households, and we need to support them as well. Then government can look at VAT zero rating some of the products, for example, chicken, because chicken is a big source of protein. I think they should look at that very seriously, and perhaps a few other products as well, so that our consumers and ordinary people can survive out there.
All right. So, and of course, you know, government and Eskom will say, well, we have to do these increases. But at the same time, if you look at the pressure on the consumer and indeed on the farming community and their ability to keep providing the food that is needed, some difficult choices for government. But if there's no intervention, and we have seen other countries, governments take these steps to intervene and support, but if there's no intervention, in terms of the food prices and where they're going, what food items are heading for really sharp increases? Just give me a sense of which food prices you're looking specifically at in the coming months with a worried eye.
We're quite worried about the cost of wheat. Wheat is an important ingredient to make bread with, and most of our people live on a slice of bread or two per day. And we cannot afford the rice bread to become unaffordable to our people. Secondly, your edible oils, due to this war in Ukraine, we import a lot of sunflower oil from them. Well, we will see, or we already seen a spike in price, but we are in a fortunate position in that we had very good rains throughout South Africa. Our farmers are already planting wheat, as I've said earlier. There's very good forecast for a very good summer maize crop. And we also know that approximately 900,000 tons of sunflower will be harvested. That, to a certain extent, will ease the challenge that we face in terms of edible oils and even wheat and maize. Your bigger challenge, obviously, is with your meats. We have seen large outbreaks of foot and mouth disease, avian influenza, and so forth. And that will have, again, an impact. And we cannot afford the shortage of meat in this country. People love their meat. So as farmers, we do our utmost best. But we need government support in terms of controlling these outbreaks. We need the honest support, the Veterinary Science Institution, to make sure there's enough vaccination. And we need other government institutions really to come to step up their game. To support the industry and making sure that our harbors are functioning optimally and that our road infrastructure is functioning optimally so that we can get food from the farm to the markets. Because as farmers traverse these terrible roads in certain provinces, it just adds to the cost because they have to fix their vehicles, they have to take care of the roads themselves, and that is unacceptable. So we need government and all government spheres to come to the party now. Otherwise, we're going to sit with a huge problem that food has become too expensive for our people, and it will result in social unrest.
Executive Director at AgriSA, Christo van Der Rheede, thank you very much for chatting to us this evening.